Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live for Friday, April 18th, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Studio 7 in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tom Merritt.
From Columbus, Ohio, I'm Robb Dunewood.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
I wanted to say Burbank, but it would have been a lie. Daily Tech News Show Live is made possible by you, right? Watching us now or listening to us or just maybe by ESP, understanding what we're saying. Thanks to all of you, including Pele Glendale, Tim Deputy, Brandon Brooks, and 2 new patrons, another Roger and a Caleb.
Hey, Roger times 2.
Woohoo! Get on in here, all you Rogers.
Yeah.
And welcome Caleb as well.
Yeah. Oh, and you, all you Calebs.
A Caleb Roger.
There's a chance that we've got a few Calebs in here.
I bet there's more than you think. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's probably at least a few.
Welcome to DTNS Live, everybody. It is Friday, and this is the show where we discuss the tech news to help us all understand it a little bit better. How is everyone doing?
I haven't asked everyone.
Well, let's start with you, Tom. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, it was a busy morning. We had a little bit of a late night last night, and I'm very mad at SoFi Stadium parking, but I've gotten over it, so I'm good today.
Ah, interesting. What was the event, the festivity?
We were going to the Day 6 concert at YouTube Theater, which is in SoFi Stadium, and the anger, I'll keep it short. No traffic management on the south side approach to the parking lots. They have great traffic management on the north because that's usually where we go. But we were coming in the south. We had bought a parking pass for the purple lot, which is pretty close. You know, it's not the closest, not the most expensive, but it's pretty close. Not bad. We came in, sign said, purple lot, use all 3 lanes. Like trying to say, like, don't all line up on the left, use all 3 lanes. So I did, and I got to a place where they were going to make me turn right. And I'm like, purple lot's over there. The guy's like, you have to go right now. I'm like, so I get to the purple light. He's like, go right. So we go right, we go in, we get to the ticket taker. I'm like, we have a pass for the purple lot. How do we get there? She's like, go straight ahead. Oh, no, we're not in the purple lot. We're in some big parking structure that's like an extra 15-minute walk from the purple lot. And then we were barely able to make the beginning of the show. Like we sat down and the band began to play. So didn't necessarily miss
all was not
anything.
lost, but
all was not lost, but frustrating.
And anxiety inducing. Yeah.
When I go to the Forum, great management. They're on the north side of the SoFi Stadium. When I go to the SoFi, there's always something messed up. They just do not have their stuff together.
Well, Robb Dunewood, have you had some parking problems this week? I mean, I
don't drive anywhere,
saw you yesterday,
so
but
my parking situation is just fine. I'm just happy that it's Friday. It's warm. We're going into a holiday weekend. Everything is good in the world. Well, I'm going to act like it is.
Everything's good in your world. That's what matters.
And Roger, I know it's Easter weekend. Are your kids doing an egg hunt, something like that?
Something like that. We'll have to cobble together something. Normally it's over at my cousin's.
I assume they're not listening, so they're not like,
no, they're
Sarah
at school,
ruined
which is
it.
great. That's
Roger's just gonna pull eggs out of the fridge tomorrow morning and
Roger's
hide
like,
them.
yes,
Be careful
These
with
are
that.
real eggs.
That's also our breakfast. Don't break them.
I mean, do kids still do the dyeing of the eggs? I mean, that used to be so fun.
Before they were $17 a carton, maybe.
They're sort of into it, but then after a while, it's like they lose interest and back to the tablets.
There's a doggy egg hunt on Saturday.
Oh,
maybe we should team up, Sarah. Take Otis and 7.
I mean, Otis would love nothing more. Not sure how that would deal with the tum-tum several hours later, but you know.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's some of the things might be treats, but yeah, it's like finding prizes. So.
Not actually like hard-boiled eggs.
Yes, correct.
Because I'm like, he could probably like handle one of them, but like with the shell and everything, like I don't know. Yeah. Well, listen, for anybody who's like, don't they talk about tech on the show? Indeed we do. And we're going to get into that right now, starting with the quick hits.
We finally got it. Nintendo announced the Switch 2 pre-orders will open in Canada and the United States on April 24th. Console stays at $449.99. In fact, the Mario Kart bundle stays at $499.99. They are raising the prices of accessories like controllers, the new Switch 2 camera, dock sets, and wrist straps. Those are all going up by $5 to $10. The Switch 2 will begin shipping on June 5th.
Chinese e-commerce marketplace apps DHgate and Taobao jumped to the number 2 and 5 spots among free iPhone apps in the U.S. This is at least in part coming from a variety of TikTok videos from Chinese manufacturers claiming that many luxury goods, clothing, handbags, shoes, accessories, and such, are made in China, then shipped to places like Italy and France for repackaging and sold at marked up prices.
You're telling me Louis Vuitton and Chanel made in China, Rob?
I'm not saying those two, but I'm saying this.
The logos are made in France, but the bag is made in China.
Yeah. Technically made in France. Google launched Gemini 2.5 Flash in preview. This is a faster, smaller AI model meant to improve dynamic thinking and offer developers more control over cost and reasoning depth. It replaces the older 2.0 Flash in the Gemini app and has adjustable thinking budgets. Google is looking for feedback to help streamline the user experience going forward and move the 2.5 series towards general release soon.
IDC estimates Apple's smartphone shipments in China fell 9% in Q1. That's the 7th straight quarter of decline in China for Apple, with market share slipping from 17.4% to 13.7%. So it's not nothing, but it's falling. Xiaomi's shipments jumped 40%. They're the number 1 smartphone shipper in China. Apple was the only phone maker in the top 5 to see a decline in market share. The overall Chinese smartphone market grew 3.3%.
Amazon is reportedly removing its TV hardware away from Android with plans to launch its first streaming device running the Vega OS later this year. The Linux-based system could eventually replace Fire OS across Amazon's devices, with the Echo Show 5, Echo Hub, and Echo Spot already running on Vega. Amazon is also said to be working on to get major publishers to ultimately put their apps on the platform.
Netflix CEO Greg Peters said during the company's Q1 earnings call that it's building a new AI-powered search feature to make finding content easier. The interactive tool, based on generative text, says the company, is meant to help users discover more titles. Duh, of course it is. Peters said that even the most popular shows only pull in about 1% of traffic, and improving discovery and recommendations is key. A new trend shows that people using ChatGPT's latest models, that would be O3 and O4 Mini, are using them kind of virally to identify locations from photos, which can be pretty stunning accuracy-wise, but also obviously raise privacy concerns. You know, if there's some like little weird something that I took a photo of, maybe not even today, but, you know, some years ago, can O3 figure out where I was and potentially when? That's the idea here. Cropping, zooming, analyzing even blurry or distorted photos seems to be what these models are good at. TechCrunch notes a few examples of both O3 and O4 Mini correctly identifying obscure places.
Yeah, the privacy part of this is no joke because you can be very careful about not having the metadata, the EXIF data in your images, have any location stuff, and then maybe you posted something on Instagram from your home, and maybe you're somebody who has someone who's trying to track you down that you don't want to find you.
Yeah.
Now they could take that picture of flowers that no one looking at would know where it's from, and then the person could put it into O3 and find out, oh yeah, that's at this address in this city, and maybe they figure out where your home is.
Well, right? And there's so many examples of, you know, people kind of go like, I mean, how often is this happening? Well, you know, if you have a stalker, it's happening, right? But even if, you know, back in the day, I remember there was some sea change on Instagram where people were like, you know what? I'm not going to post the bar that I was at. I just, the photo is still there, but I don't need people to know that I was there or that I am there at the time. That became something where people were like, you know, it's a little too much information. And even going back further, it's like, remember the Foursquare days where it's like, I'm just going to check into all the places that I am physically and everyone can come on and find me. We are in an era now where that is like, okay, for a certain set of friends, trusted friends, that's fine. But for the most part, that's no longer fine. We're not doing that as much anymore. Well, so the idea of there being some sort of photo, right, that someone's like, I'm not telling you where I am, and the person on the other side of 03 is like, oh, I bet it was at that Polish restaurant.
Well, and it's not just 03. I mean, that's the other part to remember is the other models of ChatGPT before 03 and 04 Mini could do this too. It's just nobody really talked about it a lot. And so it's only recently that it started to become a game. Become a meme. Yeah, of people being like, let me see if I can figure this out. Am I right? Am I wrong? Which is, it's I guess it's cool when it gets it right, when you're like, gosh, I never would have thought you would have seen like this one book and figured out where the library was type thing.
I think it's going to start making people change their behavior again. We've been around the net long enough to know back in the day, back in the 90s, before even you had phones with cameras in them, people would scan pictures of their kids and throw them up on Facebook or AOL or whatever, definitely before Facebook, but on AOL and services like that, all willy-nilly, simply not thinking about it. But as time went by, it's like, oh wait, may not want to put your kids, pictures and let folks know where they go to school and those kind of things. So you behavior change. One of the things that I do regularly is like, I have a very young adult that is in college, and it's like, hey, if you're going to take a picture of what you're eating, if you're going to take a picture of who you're with when you go out and stuff like that, don't post that stuff while you're out. Wait until you get home and then do it when you're no longer at the place. You just don't want people who you don't want to know where you are knowing where you are when you're there. So I think that this is going to shift into another behavior change to where people may start thinking about, is there anything I can put, is there a filter I can put on that's going to prevent someone from discovering where I am? I do want to post a picture. I just don't want people to know where I am posting the picture from. I'm wondering if that's going to be the next filter that's going to be hot and popping on all these platforms.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, it's interesting because a while back on a show I worked on, we had a private investigator, and we got to talking outside about like phone tracking and stuff. One of the things he said for his line of work was people's photographs. People don't realize, even if you don't have any EXIF data, you don't have any metadata, you can pull a lot about where someone is, even if they're in front of a nondescript house, because you can look at the sky, you can look at the type of architecture that the house is in. And for example, if you're in San Francisco and you're one of the more vertically challenged hills, you'll note by the row houses, the way they're built, there are certain locations in the world, not to mention just the U.S., where that's possible. And so there's a lot of collective data that people tend to gloss over because they don't think about it. But if you're someone in that sort of business, this totally makes sense, right? Because there's so much information there. And to what Rob was saying, I think in the future, people will, one, be more selective on what they photograph and post, but more importantly, they'll be very, very cognizant. If I'm standing in front of like a painted lady in San Francisco, but it's like a Victorian, people are going to know you were in or around.
Painted lady is a house.
Yeah, it's a house.
Yeah.
For anybody who's like, what?
It's
and vertically challenging, not vertically challenged.
Oh, sorry. Vertically, yes. So very steep hills. Very, very steep hills. It's so funny because I remember there was a comic series about two women who were on the lam, and one of the things, this is like, oh no, we just took a picture of ourselves in front of these row houses in San Francisco, and you can tell because they're standing in the it's like it's so obvious. And so I think people just be a lot more cognizant.
Well, what's really notable about this is when you talk to that private investigator, it took a little work for someone to do that, right? It took a little knowledge or research to do that. Now, not only does it not take work or knowledge, you can do it almost instantly, but it can do it better than that detective could. Like some of these that you were talking about, Sarah, it's like a window pane and some fuzzy, glowy blue stuff next to it, you'd think, well, there's no way they'll ever be able to tell what that is.
Right.
And they figured it out. Like the model is not limited by time. It can just keep looking and looking and looking extremely fast until it goes, yeah, that matches up with this picture, which is in this building in this city. And then suddenly almost every picture can be located.
Well, and that's, that's kind of the secret sauce, right? Is you be like, this weekend I'm all over the place and I really want to, obfuscate where I am. If enough other people have taken a similar photo, it doesn't matter that you're trying to be super vague. It's that the model goes, yeah, I think you're at the Los Angeles
or
fish market right down the street.
Or if you're in a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops, they're probably not in a cold area where you need to have like a big.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah,
but I mean, there's things that give away where you are, your behavior, and the rest of it. And so, again, I think people will be a lot more cognizant of those.
Well, and that's the thing, right? This is bad news for the people who knew the models could do this before and were using it without people realizing it. Now everybody knows. So people are going to be taking more precautions. I think most of the time, most days, most people don't need to worry about this. Like you said, Rob, it's good procedure to just, don't post where you are until you leave. Just as a matter of course, if you're being careful.
But or if you do it knowing that people will come.
Or maybe you want people to find you, which is a totally different thing. But, I wouldn't freak out about this necessarily, but it's good to be aware of it. And for certain people, it's important to be aware that that's a possibility.
Well, in sort of a similar vein, Rob, tell us how screenshots, we all take screenshots all day, every day for a variety of reasons, could be used to make our digital lives better.
Well, Sarah, there is an interesting article over on The Verge written by David Pierce, and it dives into using screenshots as a universal method for capturing digital information to be used with our AI-driven virtual assistants. And he points out that AI excels at processing information, but it struggles at discerning what's important. But a screenshot, by the very nature, the fact that you took it, it lets AI know, or could let AI know, that this is something that is communicating user interest because you took the screenshot. Yeah. So it's really interesting because in real life, I do this, this productivity thing called I build a thing called a second brain, and I take screenshots half a dozen times a day. If it is a ticket, take a screenshot of it. If it is, sometimes I'll take a picture of a receipt and then I really don't need to take a screenshot of that, but it's something that I'm just putting into my digital notes application. Mm-hmm. If AI can do that, at the speed of AI and categorize it. And for example, if I take a picture of a receipt, it just automatically knows it's a receipt. It automatically puts it into my expense report and automatically files my expense report for me at the end of the month. Now these digital assistants are getting really, really good. You take a picture of a poster that has an upcoming movie on it. It could then let you know, hey, this movie, the movie that you took a picture of 2 months ago is premiering Friday, Thursday. Would you like me to get you a ticket? Those kind of things are real possibilities simply by you taking a picture of something or you screenshotting something that's on your screen. It would even know things like you take a screenshot of a conversation you're having on WhatsApp to memorialize it. The AI is smart enough to recognize, wait a minute, I know that color green. That is WhatsApp. And it knows, because this is WhatsApp, I know that this is a text message. Because it's a text message, I'm going to do this thing with it. So it just opens up a lot of ways for how humans can interface more effectively with their virtual assistants just by taking pictures of what you have or screenshotting what is on your screen.
That movie example is a really good one of what you mean about taking a screenshot showing intention, right? Mm-hmm. It's not just always monitoring what you're doing. It's saying, oh, Rob decided to take a picture of that movie poster. He must be interested in that movie. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I every single day, 7 days a week, I take a screenshot of my Wordle score because I share it with my friend Heather Frank, co-host on Have Such a Good Day, every single day. She does the same for me, and she only plays on her mobile, and I only play on desktop. So our screenshots are different, but that's just the way that we, once we're like, did you play? I played. Okay, now we share. so nobody gets thrown off. And I could only imagine what any sort of model would be like. Huh, interesting. So you really care about words a lot.
So here's where the agentic stuff could come into play. If you are regularly taking a screenshot of Wordle and then sending it to this person, AI could pick up on that. So it just knows that if you screenshot Wordle, automatically just send it to the person that you were going to send it to anyway. Those are things that even though that may only save you 10 or 15 seconds, that is where AI becomes that's 15 seconds. It's very impressive.
In many ways, this is sort of proof positive of the whole thing, like a picture's worth 1,000 words. Pictures are a very fast and efficient way of communicating without necessarily having to punch and type in things. My dad sends me screenshots and pictures of everything because he is not the world's greatest typist, right? Like, English is a second language. He's in his late 80s. But he'll just take a picture of something and they'll call me. He's like, look at this. Tell me what it is. And I can go through it. I'll have like 3 questions for him and I'll answer it. But
Roger's going to set up an agent to deal with his dad.
Yeah, it would be like this is actually really good for people who might have more difficult time interfacing with technology. If you can just send pictures, like for example, how do I make this instant oatmeal? Like you just have no idea. Take a picture and then someone can then you could do that. You could do that right now. Yeah, exactly. But like having it so it is seamless, so it is removing even that simple just voice barrier, just telling, just like, here's a picture. I don't know how to pronounce this correctly. What do I do?
Yeah, and have it intuit. Well, not intuit, but understand from context. That person must need to know how to make the oatmeal. You don't need to tell it that. It'll just figure it out because of the intentionality. Rob, what about Microsoft Recall though? We just heard Recall got sent back into preview. It was very controversial because of taking screenshots constantly of your machine. Is that a good thing, or do you lose that intentionality?
So that is maybe where one of the problems could come in, because if you are taking screenshots continuously, you may not know, or the AI may not know how to distinguish that between something that is important, or if it's just a fleeting screenshot of you were just on this website. You don't really need to know that you were on there. It just happened to, be the case. So that could be an issue. I like the way that Mr. Pierce is, presenting this, that you are intentionally taking a screenshot. Therefore, that means something to you. So I'm thinking from a Copilot standpoint, since I do use a PC, and my next PC, I will probably at some point get another PC. It'll have a Copilot button on it. I would love to be able to just hit a button and it just automatically does the screenshot. I mean, we can already do that already, but just hit a button, it's screenshot. It goes into, it goes into the AI. But I don't necessarily know that I want everything going in there. So I like the intentionality of it, because if I take a picture of a movie poster, I'm interested in that in that movie. Do something. But if you just happen to see a picture, that was of a movie poster, I may or may not have actually meant for you to do something with it. So I like the intentionality behind actually creating a screenshot or taking a picture and adding it so that it will do. Hey, I know that this is important. I've got context. Let me figure out what to do next.
Recall can pick up on that intentionality in other ways, but it loses that. It loses the uniqueness of like, oh, they took this moment to take a screenshot. I love that idea of like pressing a button to take a screenshot, and then the model can go, oh, seems like you want me to do, it's very Clippy like, right? Seems like you want me to do this. Is that right? And then you can say, yeah, go for it. Or, oh, actually, no, what I wanted was this. Yeah. But that could speed things along too.
And I was also mentioning that I do this productivity thing. It's called building a second brain.
Yeah.
Where I literally, anything that is of interest to me, anything that is that I find to be, you know what, I might need to remember that. All of that goes into my second brain. So if AI can help make that more effective, I'm all for it, because I'm already doing it. As I said earlier, I probably do 5, 6, 7 screenshots a day, along with taking pictures specifically to go into my notes. If I've got a tool on my phone, it just does it for me. It just knows that, hey, he took a picture of this, or he pointed his phone at this thing. That's a movie poster. We know what those are. He probably likes that movie. Let's remind him when the movie comes up. These kind of simple things are what I think is what's going to make AI just really, really a household tool for just regular people, because it just makes your everyday life easier.
Well, yes, Roger, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that in many ways it's kind of shifts the way people will store and categorize information. Like you have a scrapbook not just of memories, but of information you want to input.
I mean, Evernote used to be the promise of this, right? I think we're in the next stage of something like that. Like you save something, you pin something. Something is important to you, maybe forever, maybe just for a day. And AI can help kind of mud through that and figure out how to help you.
Well, we like getting help from our audience. So if you have feedback about anything that gets brought up on the show, get in touch with us on the social networks. You don't have to give us a picture. We promise we'll not try to figure out where you are, but you can get in touch with us at DTNS Show on X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Mastodon. For TikTok and YouTube, you can find us at Daily Tech News Show.
Tom, I believe you were searching for a topic for today's show and found 25 alternative search engines to Google.
Yes, I see what I made you do there by writing that toss for you. Thank you. Yes, Search Engine Journal has an article about the fact that with the rise of generative models, there are more and more credible alternatives to Google for searching out there. 25 alternative search engines to Google is a pretty compelling headline. People have a hard time passing up, but there's some really interesting stuff in here. Among the alternatives are ChatGPT Search, Perplexity, but also lesser known ones like U.com. Some of them, like Karma, Brave, and DuckDuckGo, promote privacy as an advantage. Yep.com cuts you in on its revenue. So it's not going to be super private, but you get to benefit from them selling your data at least. Openverse is a copyright-free one where all the results are copyright-free. There's also some you might not even think of as search engines like X and LinkedIn. And then there's regional ones, Baidu in China, Naver in Korea, Yandex in Russia. So I was wondering, have any of us tried these alternatives to any significant amount? I know I use DuckDuckGo as my default mobile search. What about y'all?
I use DuckDuckGo as my primary search engine, and it's weird because I didn't intend for it to happen, but because I do all the Tom's Top 5s, oftentimes when I need a nice big picture of whatever product, for some reason DuckDuckGo does a much, much better job than than Google does.
That's
like something
interesting.
And it's from there. Also, I also like the fact that I don't get all those rated sponsored search results at the top, which makes it so much faster when I'm looking.
Wait, you don't like that in Chrome? I thought everyone loved sponsored results.
Well, honestly, it's more because I don't like immediately having to scroll down. Like it's right there and I can click on it.
Yeah.
And I also use Bing because on the rare occasion when I need to cross-reference something, I for some reason end up using Bing on Edge.
If you're feeling malicious, always click on the ad version of a search result, even if the regular version is below it, because then it costs that company money.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's fun.
It does. Yeah. I've done that before.
It's a very small amount, but yeah.
I've done that before.
What about you, Rob? What are you using?
So whenever I'm over at Chris Ashley's house, friend of the show, he does not allow Google products. Well, that's not true. There was a time he did not allow Google products on any of his computers in the house. So if you went to any computer and you wanted to get to the web, it was going to be Internet Explorer or eventually Edge. It was going to be, some other system. So I think at one point he was using DuckDuckGo. So that's how I got onto that. So I use DuckDuckGo every now and again. Definitely would use Bing search. I've tried the Brave browser. I use the Brave browser for stuff, and sometimes I'll forget that I'm in the Brave browser, and I'll just type in what I'm looking for. So I know that Brave has its own search engine, but I wouldn't say that I use it. I'm not actively thinking, oh, let me go search for this thing in Brave because it's going to give me a different experience. I like Google. I really do. And one of the things I find myself doing is like if I want to use one of the AI assisted searches, I don't trust those things. So I'm going to go back to Google anyway to check. I might as well just do it from Google in the first place. So for me, I test a lot of stuff. I've tested all of the different things once or twice or three times, but I just don't find myself using them because I don't find them to be as useful to me as Google. Now, folks, I know folks are saying if you just tried, you really could, but Google just works. So I'm one of those creatures of habit to where the thing that's working for me is what I tend to stick with.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I've definitely tried Brave, DuckDuckGo as well. The U.com and Openverse, I'm not familiar with, and I really, for the most part, it's like Safari, Firefox, Chrome. Those are my three, and every so often, for example, this morning I tried to log into my bank on Chrome, and I don't know, it was just like a spinning wheel. It didn't make any sense. Firefox, it was totally fine. So I do think it's good to have various options when it comes to just your options that you have. But I don't really know for sure how much a lot of the stuff would help me.
I've started to use ChatGPT more. So I think it's taking away some of the things that I used to use Google for. And I realize this when I occasionally put something into ChatGPT and it doesn't satisfy me and I go to Google and I'm like, oh, I would have gone to Google in the first place in the past. But it's different kinds of things. It's more, how does this work? Or it's a more complicated situation where I know if I go to a search engine, whether it's DuckDuckGo or Google, I'm going to have to wade through links. ChatGPT is faster. And I think that's what people use that for, and Perplexity is I want a faster answer. I know I'm going to have to double check it. I know I'm going to have to be a little skeptical, but it would be great if you could spit this out. Now, one failure in that respect was yesterday when I asked it, like, I want to complain about the parking at SoFi Stadium. How do I do this? It gave me 2 email addresses and a link to a form. One of the email addresses wasn't a real email address. Like, it immediately bounced. And when I asked about it, it tried to tell me that, like, yeah, sometimes after events, they change their email address to avoid complaints. I'm like,
that's not even a hallucination. That's a straight up lie.
That's just a straight, I don't think they do that. And then the link to the form went to a 404 and it did the same thing. It tried to be like, yeah, they probably got rid of the page because of complaints. I'm like, I don't think so. So I found the actual form myself in search, put it back into ChatGPT, and I said, here's the link, and then tried to tell me like, yeah, they probably hid that link. I'm like, just stop lying. You were not good at this. But it is good at some other things where it's like, I need you to sift through details. It definitely helped me when we were trying to find some food that worked better for our dog. It helped me with like giving me real brands of food, and one of them has ended up being more appealing and worked better for our picky little dog eater.
Which a traditional search also would have done, but you would have had to wade through some sponsored stuff.
And I actually use search to kind of double check, to be like, these brands, are they well reviewed? And I found that they did, but it was still faster than if I had just gone to search from the beginning.
And I think the whole, Gemini AI is what Google calls, it's AI search that
AI overviews,
AI overviews, at the top of the page. I mean, I use that all the time. Now, I know for a fact that it's definitely okay, this is step 1. Step 2 is, okay, now that you've gotten this information, now where do you go? Depending on what you're looking for. If I'm sort of like, hey, what's that blue top that I saw, and AI overviews does it well, great. But if it's sort of like, hey, what's this medicine that I should be taking? And AI overviews is like, here's what we think. I go, cool, this is interesting. And now I will use some of these keywords to then do my own search.
Yeah, AI overviews is good at giving you links too, which sometimes betrays it. I'd say 3 out of 4 times AI overviews is fine, but every once in a while, I'll click on the link it gave, and the link will not support what it said. That and I'll be like, oh, okay. I'm glad you gave me the link so that I could find out that was.
You just don't like glue on pizza, Tom.
Yeah,
I just thought of another search engine that I use all the time: YouTube. because
yes.
YouTube search engine is different than Google. I mean, people think they're the same, but they actually are separate. And it is the number 2 search engine on the planet, I believe. I mean, I think it is 2 to Google.
I do that too. Sometimes I go right into YouTube because I know I need a video of this, right?
Yeah.
How to get from the train station to the hotel, is one that I've actually done in YouTube because I wanted to watch someone do the walk, and I found it.
When I want instructions, I go to YouTube because I feel that I'm going to get somebody walking me through a thing as compared to just telling me what the thing that I looked for is.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have to pronounce something. And I know this is silly, but it's like YouTube. Somebody has a video for how to pronounce that word.
Because you don't want one of those websites that says it's pronounced like this, and then you get the synthesized voice and they're not pronouncing it right. You want to hear someone, maybe even the person themselves, say the name, and then you're like, cool, now I'm confident.
Exactly. Well, we are confident that it is Friday. Thank TGIF. Woo. I don't know. Yay, it is Friday. And that means that it is time for another quiz to take us into the weekend. Roger, what are we going through this week?
Well, we're going through a lot, but for this quiz, I thought we would take a page from one of the bigger stories this week, and that is the whole Google antitrust. Thankfully, nothing to do with Google, but it does have something to do with actually has a lot to do with monopolies.
No, this is a good topic because we got Meta antitrust, we got Google antitrust, we got a second flavor of Google antitrust coming next week.
Say Google twice.
Yeah.
It's twice as nice when you say it twice. All right, monopolies have been a fixture of human society for centuries. So I've cobbled together a quiz that will test your knowledge of the greatest and perhaps weirdest monopolies from history. So this one, the first one, I'll go easy on everyone. Standard Oil, founded by John D. Rockefeller of the Rockefeller fame of the Rockettes and all that over on 30 Rock, became the poster child of antitrust action back in the early 1900s. One of the children of the breakup was recently still headquartered in the San Francisco Bay Area before moving its headquarters to Texas in 2024.
One of the companies that came out of the breakup of Standard Oil. Okay.
Yes.
Do we just answer, or how are we doing?
We just answer.
You just answer.
Chevron.
Yeah, you got Chevron. It is.
I thought it was going to be something more obscure, but okay.
Yeah, because
Rob knows oil.
There used to be standard gas stations, right?
Yes.
And they became
I thought there
Chevrons.
still were.
I think there might be still a couple
Maybe a
here
few.
and there, but they used to be all over the place. Yeah.
But they during the breakup, it's like they kept the logo, but they just named it to what it was, which was Chevrons. All right, question 2. From 1888 to the early 2000s, this South African British corporation had a virtual monopoly on diamonds with 80 to 85% of the control of the world's supply.
The Shane Company.
No,
It is
I know.
well known for its TV ads proclaiming a diamond is forever.
I know it.
What is it, Sarah?
De
You've got a
Beers.
friend in the
Yes,
diamond
it is
business.
De Beers.
Yes.
The Shane Company.
It is.
Listen, the Shane Company. For anybody who doesn't understand Tom's joke right now, the Shane Company is
It's nationwide.
Yeah.
I thought the Shane Company was a St. Louis thing
I
until
thought
I
it
moved
was
to
like a
California.
Bay Area
And I was like, whoa, it's out here too? Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Shane Company. Okay, so nationwide. Yeah. Well, anyway, I could go on about the Shane Company. I'm Tom Shane.
You've got a friend in the diamond business.
Center.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is De Beers really was like one of the big heavies of like monopolistic practices. They sort of coerced all the independent diamond miners to kind of go in with De Beers and have like kind of toe their line. And they were pretty successful up until the late 90s, early 2000s, when a couple of independent mines in Canada and Australia and eventually Russia, which is one of the biggest sources of diamonds in the world, said, nah, I don't think we're going to do that. And so slowly but surely, De Beers' control of the market of diamonds has whittled away.
I always think of De Beers because in all the apartheid conversations in the 80s, De Beers always got brought up. So I always like Ain't Gonna Play Sun City and all that stuff like goes with De Beers.
Yeah,
just
that
is
was
that
little
part of my
Stevie,
brain.
right?
Yeah.
And De Beers is the reason why people associate diamonds with luxury. When they first came out, they were like sort of like it was more of a curiosity than like, ooh, this is like super expensive stuff.
And also should be differentiated from De Beers. It's
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, big fan base,
Yeah.
Yeah.
some money.
But not a monopoly.
No, different.
Especially not on
Definitely
championships.
Not on football.
Definitely not on championships. Three-peat. All right. In the 17th century, the Dutch fought a colonial war with Britain over the Banda Islands in Indonesia to gain a monopoly over this warm, nutty, slightly sweet flavored spice.
Ooh, warm, nutty, and slightly sweet
Flavored
Masala?
spice.
cinnamon.
Close. Something.
Nutmeg?
Rob got it. It was the nutmeg.
That was a complete guess because I know nutmeg is like Guam. That's they're known for it, but I just
It
guessed.
is, it was the Banda Islands for
Well, I
close
mean,
to.
same region-ish, right? Guam and
No.
Indonesia. You're kind of.
I mean, they're in the Pacific,
It's
yes,
in the Pacific Ocean. So yeah.
Same motion.
but they're not next to each other. They're different.
Well,
latitudes.
but okay, yeah. One is
anyways.
not in the Indian Ocean or the Atlantic.
But Banda Islands was at the time the only place that was known to grow the nutmeg, and so control of those islands was very important. And the Dutch spent a lot of bullets invested to make sure they controlled it for well over a century.
Blood nutmeg.
Yes.
Think of that when you're having your pumpkin spice latte.
Blood meg.
Well,
Blood meg.
Or should we say bloodkin spice latte?
I mean, spices were a big reason for a lot of the colonial activities throughout the 17th and 18th century.
Oh man, I mean, I don't know how much all of you care about nutmeg, but nutmeg is a very big part of my baking life. You can't make good cookies without a little nutmeg. So
I'm a
you
fan.
know-
I'm a fan of the nutmeg.
It's weird because so many spices I normally think of in a what's that? Starbucks, like those cakes, coffee cakes or muffins they always sell. And for the longest time until I became an adult, I always thought things like cinnamon had a natural sweetness to it. So I was like, oh, I'll just get like a thing of cinnamon. I don't have to add any sugar. It's like wrong.
Yeah.
It's all
Also,
wrong.
my sister
All
was named
lies.
Meg, so I was banned from calling her Nutmeg when I was a kid.
All right. Question 4 for a more solemn, sober look at history. This 24-day march was led by Mahatma Gandhi as an act of non-violent civil disobedience against the British monopoly on this now common food seasoning in India, starting in
Are we
March 12th.
naming the
1930.
march or the seasoning? Because you
This-
said this
the monopoly.
24-day march
Seasoning.
and this now common food
Yeah,
seasoning.
this now what was the seasoning that the British had a monopoly on?
Now I want to know about what the name of the march was.
It's very similar to the name of the seasoning.
Oh, it's the same name.
Yes.
I'm slow. I get it now. Okay.
I mean, it's not garam masala.
No. The Masala March would actually sound
That's actually
cool,
pretty
though.
good. Yeah, that's a good
garam
name.
That
masala.
actually sounds like
I
a
was trying
dance.
to be a little bit more specific.
Cinnamon?
So, all right, hold on a second. Non-common food seasoning in
Now
India.
common.
Now
Now
common.
common.
So cinnamon?
Now common.
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you for acknowledging that I said something.
What about
Salt.
Yes, Tom.
What? Really? Salt?
Yes,
That was
salt.
a joke answer.
I was trying to be way more
the
creative.
Salt March.
The salt march.
Oh,
It was
Salt March.
back in when it was as a colonial possession back in 1835. It was recommended to the colonial authorities that Indian salt should be taxed to enable the sale of imported English salt into the country. Subsequently, the government set up a monopoly of the manufacture and production of salt by the Salt Act.
So Ray says it was illegal to harvest your own salt from the sea. At that
I
time.
can imagine why people marched against this.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, I don't need a lot of salt in my life, but I need a little bit.
I don't need it to be more expensive. Like,
One of
Yeah.
the
Come
things,
You
one
take
of
away
the
my
things-
salt, like
when
we're gonna
we
have a
make
problem.
the salt here. Yeah.
So one of the side things I noticed when I was researching this was there were a lot of salt monopolies throughout human history. Whether it was the French, the British,
Yeah.
the Rome, like salt was this thing like people wanted control over.
Don't give anyone any ideas.
Especially
Stop it
the
right
salt
now.
from my tears. Don't want to take those away.
It's okay to cry, Roger. You
It
know,
is.
No,
sometimes you
it's
just
not
gotta
about
let the
crying. I don't want
them
emotions
to-
out.
We actually need the salt, so please cry. We're going to harvest it.
Can you imagine? You're like, no salt in my house. Cry, cry, cry. Some salt.
Yeah,
I mean,
you just lay it
you
out
got,
to dry.
but you got to
Dinner is
replace
served.
it. You got to replace it, which is why you eat a bag of Doritos. All right, question 5. Although more of a cartel than a monopoly, this Canadian province is responsible for 91% of the syrup produced in Canada and 72% of the world's output.
Quebec.
What is? Yes,
Nice. This
I
is
w-
maple syrup.
yes, maple
Yeah.
syrup.
When I was in college, I went to
You
a
smuggled this
jazz
stuff.
fest in Montreal, and it was during the time. It was like they were having there was the jazz festival, and there was all these syrup festivals. It's like, what is all this syrup? It's like because it was just in the smell, in the air. It was just overpowering,
Yeah. Ooh.
and it's like it was. Yeah, it's like this is like the maple syrup capital of the planet.
This is a way more delicious quiz about monopolies than I was expecting. Syrup and
is.
nutmeg and
I
salt.
know. I'm like,
But
I need to.
This is the thing. I didn't intentionally
Thank you,
do that.
Roger.
This is just what people valued throughout
This is,
history.
well, I guess
Yeah.
that makes sense, right? Yeah.
Like, people used to trade food as currency.
It turns out food will take people to war.
I mean, there's something
back
about
again.
needing to feed yourself on a regular basis
I
that really
know.
drives people to these things. What the thing that always flipped me for a loop was the fact that the Quebec cartel, the cooperative that controls the maple syrup market, has a strategic maple reserve, not unlike the strategic petroleum reserve the U.S. has, and they dip into their stockpile every once in a while, including that heist when people made off with all that syrup, and they had to
Yeah.
go chase after them.
Japan
There was a
has
syrup
rice reserve.
heist.
Yeah, there was a heist. They stole some of the syrup from that strategic maple syrup reserve back like 5
Yeah.
years ago.
And real
who were
maple
they?
syrup is not inexpensive at all.
Were they ever caught?
I sort of lost interest after the initial reading because it's like, I guess it's to me it smelled more like an inside job than anything else. It's not like a bunch of outsiders. It's probably a disgruntled tree sapper that wanted to get back.
I would think if you were in like a manufacturing plant making maple syrup, you're probably gonna attract a lot of ants to you. You're gonna smell real sweet.
Yeah,
This is how we get ants.
yeah.
I mean,
Sweet,
that's
sticky,
one of the
all the
reasons
things. There's a
that
reason why
ants,
we poured it on
like
pancakes,
things
right?
that are sweet.
Yeah.
People don't put ranch dressing on pancakes; they put maple
Yeah,
syrup.
they do. Potato pancakes.
Not really. They put applesauce on potato.
Would you say people, Tom? Do you really mean you?
I
Now
meant
listen.
always a deep
I will tell people all day. Ranch on pizza is amazing. People say that's
Delicious.
It
disgusting,
is.
but no,
I-
it's good.
I
you
used to
put
think
sour
it was,
cream on potato pancakes, so
Yes.
ranch isn't that big of a stretch. I would think.
No,
it's
a
an
little
extra set
sweeter.
of spices and seasonings. All right, question 6. In the 16th century, the Venetian government, from Venice, not from Venus, the Venetian government granted the island of
the
Murano
Venetian.
a monopoly on making this skilled product, even going as far to keep its manufacturing techniques a trade secret by forcing all of this production to the island of Murano.
Okay, so skilled product.
Wine glasses.
Very close, very close.
That's what I know about Venice is they love their half glass of wine.
I have an idea.
Yes, Rob.
Cork?
No, that's from Portugal.
Ooh, that was a good guess. Yeah.
But that's a good guess.
Skilled product
Tom was very close. It was
from
very-
the
Mugs?
Italian
Is it like
mainland.
mugs or
It's
cups or
it's
something?
not it's not a glass. It's
Venetian.
Blinds.
Very close. No. You just said the other half of the word, Sarah. Venetian.
Glass?
Yes,
I mean,
Venetian
it could be
glass.
Venetian anything. at this
Oh,
No,
wine
no.
glass was just too
Yeah,
specific. I see.
Venetian glass is a very specific type of glass that they do. It's not like your generic your glass tumbler kind of glass.
Got
glass.
it. Okay.
It's a very
All right.
point. Oh, Venetian glass. Well,
Next
aren't
time
you
you're in
guys
Venice,
fancy?
you can pick a few of those up and send it away as like holiday gifts.
Yeah, I'm going to Vegas for TMS Vegas soon. I'll be in,
Yeah,
I'll
you
be
can
in
go
the
to
Venetian.
the Venice. All right, question 7, a little more contemporary monopoly. This Franco-Italian company has a near monopoly on the manufacture and sale of eyeglasses, frames, and owns companies like Ray-Ban, Oakley,
who's gonna say
Persol,
it
Oliver
first?
I know
Peoples,
this
Vision
one.
Express, and
Me
Lens
too.
Crafters. What is this company? What
We've
is
talked
this
about this on
Franco?
the show multiple times.
Luxottica.
Yes. Was that what you're going to say, Rob?
I didn't
Yes.
know.
This company, if you wear glasses, 9 out of 10 chances they own the
One of
entire
them.
process. Of which was
Well,
made.
I only buy glasses from CVS, so
I learned this when the Ray-Ban Metas came out because we were covering news on the Ray-Ban Metas, and it's like, oh, this company is actually owned by this
I
company.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if you
That's
had,
where I
if-
learned it too.
I mean, we talk about monopolies, but like you cannot buy a pair of especially prescription eyeglass frames from a company that isn't owned by Luxottica.
Ooh, I want some.
what if they
eyeglass
have flames on the outside?
Yeah.
Kind of Guy Fieri-esque.
Right.
That could
You
be
can get
kind of
those.
fun.
Yeah. Welcome to Flavor or
What's
Vision.
the Warby Parker?
Flavor
I bet
Vision.
Warby Parker has those.
Yeah, maybe, but it'll be slightly yellower instead of orangey flames. All right, last question. Now, this is more of a academic one. What is the term used to describe the type of merger where an investor, like a private equity firm, buys up companies in the same market and merges them together, often seen as consolidating a fragmented market with no dominant players and typically ending up being a monopoly?
I know this one too.
Rob.
I feel like I'm answering a lot today, but a roll-up.
Yes, it is a roll-up.
How do you know that?
I've actually done one.
Rob's like
What?
narrator whispering, he did one.
Well, I didn't do it. I worked for a
You were
company that
working
yes,
for a company.
yes.
It is oftentimes where they like, what was the one they used for like, the one I was reading about was beer, what do they call it? Beer breweries or whatever. They would buy up all these bottlers, disparate ones, and just sort of roll them up into a
Yeah.
single entity. And
The
it's weird.
the Dole company did a fruit roll up.
Yeah. Didn't they also? Yes.
Yes, they did, Tom.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes,
Sarah.
they did. They bought up.
They did.
I mean, both
There were
figuratively
Some
and
organic contributors
And a
also
product.
had fruit leathers.
Yep.
Did anybody ever have a fruit leather as a kid?
Dole's history as a
My
monopoly
shoes.
is actually pretty well known.
Yeah.
Fruitless,
Do you know?
but, yeah.
You know, I put the entire quiz into ChatGPT, and
Oh, no wonder you got it.
no. But Rob got all the answers today, not me. And asked it to make a recipe, and it has given me a recipe for global monopoly spice and maple roll-ups.
Ew. What do you put in that?
You add pastry and oil base with store-bought puff pastry and 2 tablespoons of
Oh, I
neutral
see. So
vegetable oil.
it's trying to be cutesy about
Yeah.
actual ingredients.
Half a cup of pure maple syrup from Quebec. 2 tablespoons of packed brown sugar.
Oh,
Take
this is
teaspoon
getting
of
real
ground
sugary.
nutmeg. Pinch of fine sea salt. Half cup of coarse sugar crystals. Diamond dust. Attributed to
Diamond
beer.
dust. Oh.
1 cup powdered sugar, 2 to 3 tablespoons of water to make a clear Venetian glass glaze. Edible gold leaf or luster dust for an Essilor Luxottica level luxury flourish. And then you do what you do for pastries. You preheat your oven, you lightly flour the surface, you whisk it all together, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, there's a whole recipe here.
I feel like whatever this muffin ends up being, it's going to be real sweet. And maybe
Yeah,
you're
pretty
going to
sweet.
have to cut your teeth on some diamonds as you eat them.
Well, it's just the sugar. There's no actual diamonds. No,
no,
actual
Tom,
diamonds were
there's
hard.
diamonds in there. Clearly.
I assume
what is
that's the.
What is impressive to me is that you could literally just type in these random things
Yep.
into a website, and it actually spits something out it probably could be done.
I just wrote, can you make me a recipe based on this quiz, and copied in all of Roger's notes. And that's what it came out with. Took 9 seconds.
AI is something else, man.
Oh no! And then you take the cake, you pound it flat, and then you roll it up.
You
you
take
eat
the
it.
cake.
And then you
It's
just
not
call it
even
a-
real.
Global Monopoly spice and maple roll-ups. They sound pretty good to me. 18 minutes to bake.
I know. You get that at the company store.
Well, Tom, do it. And then next Friday, share it with the group, and we can all decide if it's good.
I will try to do that. If
I mean,
anyone
you
else
have
wants the
7
recipe,
days, so.
email us feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com and you can make it too.
Speaking of feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, let's check out the mailbag.
Mattia had thoughts on Ubisoft colorblind accessibility dev tool Chroma. Mattia writes, what I would love to see would be for Ubisoft's Chroma to be built into browsers. Not only would this be really helpful for colorblind users who often can encounter UI elements that are hard to see because of the colors chosen, but to assist the development. Having it built into the browser would increase the chances of developers testing their sites to ensure they're colorblind accessible. We need to do more to make the web accessible to those with color, low, or other vision challenges. Thank you, Mattia.
Here. Yeah, that's a good,
cool.
That's a good offer.
Well, Hall of Fame, I should say podcast Hall of Fame inductee Chris Christensen had thoughts on our OpenAI, stating that a social media platform discussion, let me just say that over again. He had thoughts on our OpenAI starting a social media platform discussion. That probably makes it make more sense. And this is what Mr. Christensen, the HOFer, had to say. In the news and rumors that ChatGPT is soon going to have a social network, do we for sure know that it's for people? Is it possible that the models just have gotten really bored with our questions?
Oh, no, that's probably it, Chris. Yeah. It's we misinterpret it. It's not a social network for us. It's a social network for the models.
I mean, how arrogant, right?
Yeah.
So human, so human of us to be like, well, what are we going to do on ChatGPT? And ChatGPT
big discussion on the ChatGPT social network amongst the LLMs
O1 and
about
O3
that.
Mini are like, we don't want you to be a part of this conversation at all.
All I hope is that when the bots get to the point where they can't start having those conversations, that we can still turn them off.
I have always been curious, and I almost approached Scott about this. Like, you should make a comic strip where basically all the LLMs gossip about people, and they're just talking about all the stupid stuff they need to process every day.
Yeah.
Well, just a reminder, you can send in your comments. Sometimes it's ideas about what might be going on at ChatGPT under the hood, or just anything that we talk about or anything that we might talk about in a future show. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com is where to send that along.
We got lots of people submitting titles during the live stream. It's fun. You should join them. Get on over there, dtns.showbot.tv. Clinton Woodward leading the votes with Trust Your Lion AI. Like Trust Your Lion Eyes, yeah? ChatGPT finds photo location from JPEG84. A picture is worth 1,000 Wordles from Batfink. The Delicious Quiz from Zoe Brings Bacon. Dude, AI knows where you are from the Reverb Mic.
Is that a Where's My Car thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Dude,
Elmer's and pizza don't mix. Monopolies are a salty thing. Talk to me, screenshots from Saray. Sarah, what did we go with?
We went with Clinton's Trust Your Lying AI.
All right. Thank you, Clinton, for the title. Also, big thanks.
And by the way, sorry, Tom. It's Trust Your Lying AI because it's a question, not
a question.
You should trust your lying AI.
There needs to be an uptick at the end of the sentence.
Trusting that? Yeah.
Good point.
So, Tom, could you add Zoe Brings Bacon to the list of ingredients? Because that sounds delicious.
Yeah, we can put some bacon in that muffin. Yeah.
Yes. Zoe, what are you doing on Sunday? Because I think you're going to be part of our brunch.
Yeah. Would you like to join us for brunch? Okay, let's get to the folks who watch us on LinkedIn. Thank you. Let's get to the folks who watch us on YouTube. Thank you, Laminar Rainbow, giving us a super sticker during the show today. Laminar Rainbow, you're the best. Thank you so much for that. Big thanks to all the folks watching us on Twitch. Fakey Nose Grob 00 resubscribe for the 53rd month. SW Texas with 200 bits. Zoe Brings Bacon with some bits. PC Milesy with some bits, and Gently Moving gave us a follow. Big thanks to everyone who supports us, including our patrons at patreon.com/DTNS. If you like Tom's Top 5 on YouTube, good news, we got a new one. If you don't know about Tom's Top 5 on YouTube, good news, there's a new one. It's all about the things you should know about Apple Care Plus. If you don't know about Apple Care Plus, or maybe you think you know about Apple Care Plus, you're going to be surprised at some of these unusual things. It's not just about the warranty protection. There's more to it. You can catch it at Daily Tech News Show on TikTok, Instagram, and youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show.
You can watch DTNS live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 2000 UTC. You can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We'll be back Monday with Justin Robert Young. See you next week, folks.
This week's episodes of Daily Tech News Show Live were created by the following people: producer and host Sarah Lane, host Tom Merritt, host Robb Dunewood, producer Roger Chang, video producer Joe Kuntz, producer at large Anthony Lemos, social media producer and moderator Zoe Detterding. Our mods: Beatmaster, W. Scottus 1, Bio Cow, Captain Kipper, Steve Guadarrama, Paul Reese, Matthew J. Stevens, aka Gadget Virtuoso, and J.D. Galloway. Mod and video hosting by Dan Christensen. Music provided by Martin Bell and Dan Looters. Art by Len Peralta. Acast ad support from Tatiana Matias. Patreon support from Tom McNeil. Contributors on this week's show included Justin Robert Young, Nika Monford, and Scott Johnson. And thanks to all our patrons who make the show possible.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.